What's up everyone, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a review for you of the first ever touchscreen only iPod Nano. Let's see if this little guy is worth the money. So if you want to pick up an iPod Nano of your own, it's going to cost you $149 for 8 gigs or $179 for 16. So first, being an iPod, let's talk about the audio playback. It's typical Apple and typical iPod quality. Comes through very strong with various headphones. I didn't have any crackling, strong bass. Everything sounds very good. So if you're worried about how music is going to sound on this little guy, don't worry, it's going to sound quite good. So let's talk about the main attraction or detraction here, and that is the screen and the operating system. It is a 1.54-inch TFT display with a resolution of 240 by 240, and it looks very similar to iOS, although interestingly enough, it is actually not an iOS device. There's no app store here, and it's based on a different source code. But it looks very similar and acts very similar. So your home screen is a row of 2x2, or columns of 2x2, 4 total icons, with pages. You can go ahead and scroll through and I'll show you what your icons are here. You have playlists now playing, artists, radio, Genius mixes, podcasts, settings, photos, songs, albums, composers, genres, fitness, it's your sort of your Nike stuff and the pedometer, and a clock. And the operating system works much like the Apple operating systems that you're used to. If you want to move icons around, you go ahead and hold them. They do a little jiggly dance, and you can go ahead and move them anywhere you like. You can use this button on the top here to go ahead and stop them from dancing and set them where you are. And also you've got actual physical volume up and down buttons, which is quite nice. So how does navigation work with an only touchscreen and there not being a real home button? Well, this is actually kind of interesting. The home button is actually the screen itself. If you hold down on the screen, it goes ahead and takes you back home. A little bit weird and definitely strange to get used to. This does have multi-touch. Really the only place you can see it is in the screen rotation. You go ahead and rotate this any way you want. Much like previous generation iPod Nanos, you can sync your photos to it, although the only way that you can really use multi-touch again is to rotate them. There is no pinch to zoom here. Things work very oddly in the music department, and let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So if you want to go ahead and view artists, for example, you get your full artist lists, and on this 1.54-inch screen you have to keep scrolling down. You can do the same scroll on the left side and get to the letter, find what you want, and go ahead and pick it. So you go to List and Jake, for example, and it looks very much like it does on an iPhone or an iPod Touch. Hit the home button, or try and hit the home button, and it goes back. Playlist is very similar. You have the ability to add and create your own playlist on the fly, which is quite nice. I'll show you what it looks like when you're playing music, because that's a little bit different as well. So now playing, there's some Good to Be Me. There's no album art here, but you can go ahead and scroll through and you can see if there was album art, it would just show up there. And if you want to see the controls, you go ahead and tap the screen and you get back, forth, and your typical playing icons. If you see that little eye in the bottom right hand corner, if you tap that, you can see other songs by the band and the album. You can scroll through and even give it stars if you want right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever you'd like. If you want to go back the screen, you don't have to actually hit the home button to go back or hold the screen. You can swipe your finger back and that'll take you right back home. This has taken a while to get used to this new operating system. And overall, while it is functional, I am not a fan of navigating on such a small screen. And if you don't touch it for a while, it's going to take you right back unless you pause it. Overall, it's working like I mentioned, it's functional, but it's very difficult to go ahead and scroll through. I do miss being able to take the scroll wheel and just keep going down, down, and spinning until I get to what I want, as opposed to not having to flick to where I want to go. Some nice features and some additions are the physical volume buttons. I don't have to use the scroll wheel now and unlock the device to control the volume. I do like the addition of a clip on the back, which makes this sort of a nice iWatch if you want to put it in a little watch adapter while you're at the gym, or clipping it to your shirt. So it is definitely a bit of a positive. But there are a lot of glaring negatives. There are actually a lot of features that are missing from this generation iPod Nano over even just the previous generation that came right before it. Primarily, we're missing the camera on the back. It wasn't the best camera in the world, but it was nice to sort of have that option. If you guys remember, the iPod Nano was going to be the device that was going to kill sort of the Flip Minnow series of devices. Well, Apple evidently really retracted on that battlefront and taken out the camera completely on the iPod Nano. Although I suspect it's something that we'll see on next generations. One of the other nice things about this iPod Nano, this previous generation, is that it had a speaker built in. You can listen to the music right from your iPod. You can no longer do that on the new Nano. There isn't any sort of built-in speaker, which is a little bit on the annoying side. So you go to Now Playing, hit play, push the volume all the way up. There is no music coming out, unfortunately. So if you relied on a speaker, or you like to sort of have that option, not going to work for you. Of course, this generation iPod Nano is fully compatible with all the accessories and chargers and such. It uses the same 30-pin connector. But if you're used to a dock that has a slot for the iPod fully cut out, this is going to be a little bit hard to fit in there. There's a thickness difference too because of the clip, so it may not work with all your accessories without a sort of an adapter to make it work, something to keep in mind. So can I recommend the iPod Nano? Yes and no. It's definitely a mixed bag. If you're a big gym rat and you want something you can just clip on and have a little bit more control than you would with an iPod Shuffle, the Nano is going to be an okay option. If you're a big music aficionado and you're managing a lot of playlists and a lot of albums and a lot of songs, it's going to be very, very, very hard to do on such a small screen. In my opinion, this iPod Nano should have probably been the evolution of the iPod Shuffle, not an iPod Nano. I expect a iPod Nano to have a little bit of a larger screen, something like this. Even if it was all touchscreen, that would have been okay. Almost like an iPod Touch Mini, I suppose, would have been a nice scenario. So while it is very kind of cool and you get a lot of nice looks while you're out, it's not going to be that functional for you. So I cannot recommend this generation iPod Nano. In fact, it's a great time to go ahead and pick up a previous generation iPod Nano, which does pretty much everything minus the touchscreen that the new one does, for what's going to be a lower price now, and you get a camera and a speaker. It's very interesting to see the evolution of this iPod Nano line from what began as the iPod Mini, which actually I have right here, the first generation iPod Mini. I was cleaning out my wife's stuff and I happened to find it. You can really see how things have changed. We've gone from this large, thick, spinning hard drive design to a much thinner flash design, and now to a completely touch-only design. You can really see the evolution here. It's like the evolution of man type picture. You see things get smaller, 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 and touchscreen. Apple is always trying to continue to innovate. This may be a case of innovating too far and doing damage to a good thing. So, again, in conclusion, I cannot recommend the new iPod Nano. I think you're much better off picking up an iPod Touch if it fits your budget. Anyway, guys, I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. I'd like to know what you think. Leave your comments down below. For exclusive content, check me out at Twitter, twitter.com/John4Lakers. And for all your tech content, be sure to check out their website, technobuffalo.com. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.